So you know Christmas time is all about the food, which means it's time for CVM Cook Shop. So throughout the month of December, we'll be getting busy in the kitchen with some of your favorite hosts, hello, chefs and brands who will be whipping up some traditional and not so traditional Christmas dishes in the Cook Shop. You ready for this?
Thank you, and I don't have to pay for this.
Sleigh bells ringing, diamonds bling.
Yes, it's Santa.
In the house!
Favorite season.
Let them sit under your arm as well.
They said say Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah.
From now on.
Let's go right into our first headline.
They said say Nick, but you got a bit in that bag, yeah. With the lights up, 'tis the season.
Going to a break.
It's Tuesday, December 17, 2024. This is CVM News at noon, and I'm Ramon Corden. CVM News understands that veteran journalist and court reporter Barbara Gale has been killed. Reports say that Gale was found dead at her home in Cape Manus Estates, St. Catherine. The circumstances surrounding her death remain unclear at this time, but authorities have launched an investigation. Barbara Gale was known for her years of service as a court reporter with the Jamaica Gleaner and was celebrated earlier this year by the Press Association of Jamaica for her outstanding contribution to journalism. Her fearless reporting of high-profile court cases earned her respect and admiration across the industry. The news has sent shockwaves through the media fraternity, with many mourning the loss of one of Jamaica's most accomplished journalists. CVM News will continue to follow this story and bring you the updates as we get them. 4 suspects involved in a shooting in Spalding in which a policeman was injured were charged on Thursday. The 4 have been charged with possession of prohibited weapons, unauthorized possession of ammunition, shooting with intent, wounding with intent, and using a prohibited weapon to commit a felony. The matter is in court and has been transferred to Kingston. A 9mm pistol and 17 rounds of ammunition were seized in Wall Hill, Sligoville early Sunday morning. Around 2:30 a.m., police spotted a man acting suspiciously. He tried to flee but was caught. The weapon was found during a search. The man is in custody as investigations continue. The Jamaica Constabulary Force has extended the 48-hour curfew in sections of Rockfort, Kingston 2. The new duration is 6 p.m. Monday, December 16 to 6 p.m. Wednesday, December 18. During the curfew, residents must remain indoors unless authorized by the ground commander. One man is dead following a tragic collision on the Discovery Bay Main Road in St. Anne. The incident occurred around 5:45 a.m. on Friday when a gray Toyota Corolla Fielder, reportedly speeding, lost control and slammed into a disabled vehicle in the roadway. 3 pedestrians standing nearby were struck on impact. All were rushed to the hospital where a 28-year-old man died on Saturday. Cost of living in Jamaica increased again in November, with the latest consumer price index showing a 1% rise. The Statistical Institute of Jamaica Statin says the main driver was a sharp 2.1% increase in food prices, especially for vegetables and tubers. Statin explains that heavy rains from Tropical Storm Raphael caused major disruptions to agricultural supplies, driving prices up for items like Irish potatoes, carrots, yams, and green bananas. Higher electricity rates also contributed to the inflation spike, pushing the housing, water, electricity, gas, and other fuels index up by 0.4%. Meanwhile, parents faced higher costs for education as fees for CSEC examinations rose, leading to a 1.1% increase in the education index. On a yearly scale, inflation from November 2023 to November 2024 stands at 4.3%. Food prices saw the steepest climb at 6.4%, followed by increases in housing and accommodation services. We'll have more later. The details of the fraud scheme at Sagicor Group are now coming to light. Today, we know the names of the 4 men charged and the crimes they're accused of committing. The suspects are Michael Felton, Orlando Breckenridge, Siebert Watt, and Michael Dowse. MOCA, the major organized crime and anti-corruption agency, says the men have been charged with conspiracy to defraud, possession of criminal property, and receiving stolen property. Fenton is also facing additional charges for possession and dealing in ganja. The fraud was discovered in April 2019 when suspicious invoices and payment certificates were submitted by M. Fenton Construction Limited, owned by one of the suspects. Investigators later uncovered forged documents, including fake signatures and an elaborate scheme involving contractors and Sagicor employees. The false claims were for construction work at Sagicor managed properties, and payments were made based on the fraudulent paperwork. The 4 accused are scheduled to appear in the Kingston and St. Andrew Parish Court on December 20. MOCA says investigations are ongoing and more arrests could follow as they dig deeper into the case.
And MOCA remains committed to holding those responsible accountable. We are urging all businesses to stay vigilant and to report any suspicious activities, as fraud undermines not just companies but our economy as a whole.
Economist Keenan Faulkner warns that Jamaica's declining birth rate poses a serious concern for the future. Speaking on Lead Story last evening, Faulkner highlighted potential challenges for productivity if the trend continues.
The implications generally are that you have a lower productive base, which also translates into a lower tax base. But there are other wider societal implications like, depopulation can eventually happen. When the population, it is now stable, but it will actually probably start to decline eventually in the future. You have other fiscal considerations and like contributions to social security and other revenues for the state.
Meanwhile, Reproductive Health advocate and executive director of the HerFlow Foundation says more should be done to educate young people about their reproductive health and its impacts on fertility.
I think we have to change the way we converse with young people about sexuality and how it affects how their choices now will affect them in the future and what they can do now if they, obviously we're not encouraging them to have children right now, but we want them to think about how the actions that they participate in at this moment when they're 16 can affect them when they're 34 and ready to have children.
Following the Prime Minister's announcement of a $2 billion allocation to facilitate the emergency road operations, one mayor is displeased with the government's treatment of the issue. Spanish Town Mayor Norman Scott says there was no consideration for the role of the municipal corporations.
The fact is, and I got the confirmation in the meeting, that the municipal corporation, local authorities, have responsibility for over 90% of the road network in the country. And it is unfair of the government. It is just telling us that they care nothing about the local authorities and the councillors. We are representatives in our own right. It is unfair to be making allocations without giving any credence, any thought to the people that we have responsibility for. The community roads, the local roads, and farm roads, we have responsibility.
Many Jamaicans have made their livelihoods overseas for varying reasons. However, despite the motivation, persons find it challenging to adjust to their new environment. Author Camelia Guthrie spoke on Sunrise this morning about how she adjusted to her new life in Canada.
Stress. It was probably the first time I was ever depressed. But the good thing is that my mom was here. So when I came, my mom was here. But there were several times like, Mommy, may I go home? Like this hard life. Like I've worked the hardest coming here than I ever have in my entire life. Yeah. But what happened that after a while it balances out. So about year 5, it started to balance out and things started to make sense. But when you come, like sometimes in Jamaica and people like, nobody come cut up your rough, but come and experience your own roughness because at the end of that, there is joy and there's peace and there's all these wonderful things. I think for me, the shaping was more faith-based because I was able to, I had no choice but to tap into it, just trust God, that if God brought me through before, he's going to bring me through, and that he didn't bring me here to just leave me. So I think for me, the greatest part of that, the growth was just faith and trusting God 100%, because otherwise, I tell people, I probably would have tapped out a long time ago.
The Christmas spirit came alive across Kingston and St. Andrew as charities and community leaders shared joy through gift giving, cultural performances and dazzling tree lighting ceremonies. No corner was left untouched by the holiday cheer. Shante McNeil has more.
Less than 2 weeks until Christmas, businesses and charities are rekindling the holiday spirit with events designed to spread joy and ensure no one is left behind. On Sunday, 3 celebrations unfolded across Kingston and St. Andrew. The San Myrna Foundation, in partnership with the Empower for Change Foundation, marked 9 years of service by hosting its annual treat at the Halfway Tree Transport Center. Hundreds of children with disabilities from nearby communities were treated to gifts, meals, and entertainment. Despite a doubling of attendance from last year, which saw over 300 attendees, San Myrna's managing director, Robert White, assured that every child was reached.
We want to let them know that they are, feel like they don't have any challenges in life, because, some of them can't walk, some cannot see, some cannot talk, but we want them to feel the same as us, So we just ensure that we bring every one of them to one spot and just feed them, give them gifts, dance with them, and ensure that they have the Christmas fever, the Christmas feelings, even before Christmas comes.
He pointed out the significance of assisting children in these marginalized communities.
Anything you can do to make it easier for them, just do it, because, you never know, because just as you have an MP with challenges, and I think he's a senator, don't remember his name, but that very same kid can come up and be in the House of Parliament.
Meanwhile, PNP caretaker for Eastern St. Andrew, Patricia Duncan Sutherland, brought the festivities to the constituency with a Christmas brunch with a mobile unit featuring John Quinna performances, Santa appearances, and gift giving.
But it's really about getting our children to remember our culture and to bring a Christmas cheer right across the community. Things are not easy for anybody, so we want to bring some Christmas cheer and joy and let people remember what John Quinna was like and what a Jamaican Christmas.
The night concluded with the annual tree lighting ceremony by Bignall Law in Halfway Tree, bringing warmth and light to the hearts of both children and adults.
For so many persons who are not able to have this kind of light in their own homes, and they can come somewhere where it's free and they're welcome, and which is really the essence of Bignall Law. Bignall Law is built on the common man. It's the common man that has made me who I am. It's the common man that has made Bignall Law the giant that it is, and it's only that these are the people we want to give back to. So it's an absolute pleasure to do this.
Shante McNeil, CVM News.
You're watching CVM News at noon. Be back in a moment.
Jamaica, it's all about the food, the family, and the vibes. And nobody does it better than CVM.
And listen, you see my gunga rice and peas? It's so good. Make us start to sing. Make the Christmas get you.
Oh, look at no, bother with it, please. Let's stick to hosting, IT. Let's leave the singing to the voice box kids on CVM. Not you, though.
This Christmas, we are bringing the taste of the season right into your home. Ooh, now this is how you do a seafood broil. But don't worry, we'll show you how on CVM Cook Shop.
From your favorite Christmas recipes to all the holiday entertainment, stay locked in to CVM Television.
So from our CVM family to yours, have a Merry Christmas and a Happy New Year.
CVM TV and live Jamaica Premier League action on a Monday night. A match made in heaven. We call it Monday Match Night. Catch all the hard-pounding JPL Monday night action from now until the end of the season on CVM TV's Monday Match Night. Matchday Mondays at 7:45 p.m. with rebroadcast Tuesdays at 10 a.m. Nothing else can quite match up. Monday Match Night, powered by Sunshine Snacks and ABC Electrical.
Welcome to the HP Store, Jamaica's exclusive HP outlet smacked in the middle of Kingston. Everything from laptops, desktops, printers, accessories, and more. Experience the latest in cutting-edge technology and software from HP. Let's help you find a solution that meets your needs. Visit us at Shop Number 2 Tropical Plaza, Kingston 10. The HP Store, your trusted source for genuine HP products.
So you know, Christmas time is all about the food, which means it's time for CVM Cook Shop. So throughout the month of December, we'll be getting busy in the kitchen with some of your favorite hosts, hello, chefs and brands who will be whipping up some traditional and not so traditional Christmas dishes in the Cook Shop. You ready for this?
What would you do if a date asked you how much you weigh?
Leave. Slap him. Cuss him.
It was going so well until...
Ask him how much his mama weighs.
Oh, we talking about weight, huh? Well, how much your mama weigh?
All new Family Feud.
You ain't got to worry about how much I weigh. You won't be feeling nothing over here.
Welcome back. It's time for our discussion segment. Jamaicans are feeling the pinch as the cost of living continues to rise. The latest consumer price index for November shows a 1% increase, driven largely by higher food prices and electricity rates. Weather-related disruptions from tropical storms, along with the rising education costs, have added to the strain on households. But what does this mean for the economy, and where are we headed? Today we speak with economist Keenan Faulkner, who will break down the numbers and offer insight into what's driving inflation and what can be done to ease the burden. Keenan, again, thank you so much for joining us.
Yeah, thank you so much, Ramon.
Great. Now, the CPI increased by 1% in November, driven by, like we said earlier, higher food prices and electricity rates, etc. Now, what does this say about the state of inflation in our country presently?
Well, I mean, for the last year and a half, inflation would have been driven downwards mostly by the fact that non-core inflation, or rather, core inflation, which excludes the volatile components such as food and fuel that are mostly imported, would have been accounting for the moderation of inflation over that period of time. So despite the inflation outlook now being positive, with it falling into the Bank of Jamaica's 4 to 6 range, we still have to remain cautious because anything that affects the volatile components such as food and fuel, they're most prone to exogenous shocks, as we've seen with Beryl and Raphael, as we've seen with the increase in commodity prices worldwide because of supply chain disruptions, geopolitical tensions that have the ability and the potential to increase the cost of fuel, which feeds into the cost of electricity those are the things that we have to continue to watch out for, and we have very little control over those. Everything else, are basically one-off occurrences, like the increase in fees for CXC and other domestic things that are in our greater control to help to bring down inflation in the medium to long term.
Keenan, the largest contributor to inflation was a 5.7% increase in vegetables, tubers and plantains due to supply shortages, which we alluded to earlier, caused by the tropical storm Rafael.